the one that I believe threatens the very existence of our democracy is disinformation. This threat is all the more nefarious because the means available to counter it are limited and very difficult to implement.
It becomes particularly concerning when you have certain politicians that ride on the waves of that disinformation. And again, they might not be spreading it verbatim, but then, they speak in broad terms that hints to a lot of that disinformation. And we see a lot of that. By focusing on sort of the disinformation angle, we are ignoring the sort of core reason of why we had this commission, which was, are our elected officials in Ottawa compromised with foreign interference? Justice Hogue did say that some parliamentarians may have unknowingly benefited from foreign interference. Some may have exercised very poor judgment and had relationships that are perhaps inappropriate in terms of holding up the integrity of their sworn oath to represent this country. And so I would like to see more of a focus on that end. There's a lot of questions of, okay, if MPs are exercising poor judgment, well, what can be done to train them or to provide them with resources to avoid exercising that poor judgment, even if it is unwitting?
If there's anything that's absolutely 100% confirmed, is that it is a thing and it is real. So people can acknowledge that. Although I do feel like most people, like, what do you think? Like, this is anecdotal, but I got the sense that most people knew that there had been some shenanigans, that people wanted the names released because they wanted to know which parties they were, which MPs they were, which potentially cabinet ministers, their official opposition critics, right? Ytrium is in our live chat right now, powered by Park Power, says, I would still like to have the names given and level of involvement. I'm kind of on two minds on that. Number one, if it's unwitting or if there was attempts, but they weren't compromised. I mean, I don't know. On one hand, if you're a politician, unwitting or otherwise, that managed to dodge a bullet and did the right thing, you would love to have your name released. If you're a politician that comes across as a little bit naive, a little bit reckless, I mean, I think back, it's not the same thing, but remember Maxime Bernier leaving like sensitive documents when he was a Harper cabinet minister at his girlfriend's house, and she like ran with the Hells Angels, and there was like, do you remember one? And it was just like, when you saw that story, it's like people are going to remember that about Maxime Bernier for like the rest of his career when you end up with egg on your face.
And I think if it was negligence or poor judgment, like, I do think that Canadians deserve a right to know. And I think when you're in that position of power, especially when you're elected by the people of Canada, you have certain responsibilities and you have to be accountable for all of your actions. So even if you are not, quote unquote, a traitor, but if you unwittingly enabled foreign, bad faith foreign actors, I think the public absolutely has a right to know.